Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
We have something very special. I was so glad that Lauren Ferrer, are you still 13?
I'm 14 now.
Oh, sorry. Okay, 14. Well, that's okay. So you got another year in there. The Secret of the Clocks. You know, we do a lot of book reviews in our magazine, and I'm very careful about them. Of course, I brought your father's book, Cough Cures, because we reviewed his book, which is extraordinary. But when I was talking with your mother and father, they said, well, would you like to have a copy of The Secret of the Clocks our daughter wrote? And I said, sure. And I took it, gave me some for my grandchildren, and I kind of breezed through it thinking, it's a nice little book. And I started reading and I couldn't put it down. It was so good. I had to do I had to do a publisher's choice in our issue. So tell me about you. I mean, when did you think you were going to start writing? Did it just come naturally?
I was writing for a while now. I used to keep journals when I was younger, and I would just write about my days, any stories I would want to come up with, and I've just loved writing for a very long time. And
how did you get the idea for this? Is time important to you? Or maybe you ought to tell a little bit, just kind of a summary of The Secret of the Clocks.
Well, time is something I like to think about a lot, and I like being on time. I'm a very punctual person. So the idea of just running against time, and the characters in the story are trying to beat the clock and get home before time runs out. So that was just a part of the story that I really enjoyed writing about.
Well, it was very mysterious. I mean, I couldn't, it was like a page turner. I said, gee, I felt so bad for them. Come on, we got to get going. And they always got interference with other people.
Yes. There's always some obstacle that kept them from getting to the place they had to get on time. So that was something that was very, mysterious, I guess.
Well, Lauren, that's one of my problems because when I'm working at the office, I always have things and I have to get somewhere on time, but there's always phone calls, there's always other things, and I'm always either late or, I get crazy. So it was very appropriate for a lot of us.
Yes. It's a very relatable story.
It was. So is there going to be a number 2 on this, or are you thinking of another kind of subject?
I do have an idea for a second story, but I don't know if I'm going to add something else.
Right. So, and your characters, you did a lot of good character development, which is a real aspect of a true writer, that you can get that character so that we understand who that is.
Yes.
And so how do you think about these people from your class? Or
Yes, the characters are actually my closest friends, the people I chose, and I based them, their foundational, just characteristics and personalities off of some of my closest friends.
And do they know that?
Yes, they do.
Were they happy then to be in your book?
Yes, they were very excited.
I didn't see your mother or father in there, were they?
No, they were not. My sister was.
That's very interesting. So now you wrote this, and then were you surprised that your parents said, well, let's make it into a book? I mean, did you know it was that good yourself?
Well, I actually started writing it. It started out as a 3-page story, just a 3-page, just plain story. And I told my dad to read it. And after that, he said, keep writing. We're going to make it into a book. So that summer, I just wrote. And he said, we're going to make it into a book. So,
but your teacher, I read the part where your teacher really thinks that you have a great future. And is she still your teacher?
No, she was my teacher in 8th grade. She was my English and creative writing teacher. And every time we would have a class, I would usually just write straight through the class and just tell her, read my new story. And she would tell me just the parts that she liked. And those are some of the parts that I kept in the book and parts that I added into the book. So she was a really big help.
So what would you encourage your friends and other people like you to be able to write? Many of them, I'm sure, want to do it, but they're afraid. They don't know how to do this. How would you, suggest that they start something?
Just keep writing. Don't throw away any ideas that may seem stupid or just that aren't going to work, because there's always time to add or review and take out. So just keep writing and keep writing anything that you want to put on the paper.
Okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you on Facebook Live. That's what we want to do. So we're going to start that right now. Start live video. So you'll be on. We're going to get you on YouTube with this. But
okay.
Now I've got you on Facebook Live too. So so what school do you go to?
I go to Calvary Christian Academy.
And let's see. So you're 14. So will that go through your senior year?
Yes, it does.
And then have you ever thought? I'm sure you have. Knowing you, you're very intelligent. What do you think is in your future?
I want to do law in my future. Yes. A lot of writing.
That's right. A lot of writing, but law. And, when you go to apply to schools, how important it is. You're going to send the person the book
yes.
and say this. So maybe you have another book or two that you're going to be doing. I noticed when you were writing, though, where did you get those? You had some really extreme ideas. Where did you get this? Is this something you dream up or you...
It's just what kind of goes through my mind, just a lot of places that would just add a lot of turns to the story and just that you would not expect coming from a black and white town, just going into a forest of moving trees or, yeah.
Have you traveled a lot?
Yes,
Has that helped you?
Yes, it has. We lived in many different places growing up. I lived in Texas and Virginia, so I got a lot of different tastes of sides of the U.S. and just different seasons and all of that.
Yeah, and you have other siblings. You have
yes.
You have three, aren't there?
Two.
There are two right, so there are three of you.
Yes.
And did they laugh when you were going to do this? I mean, did they read the book?
Yes, they did read the book. And my sister is not much of a reader, so when she read it, she was like, I'm just going to skim through it, just kind of get the details. But she actually enjoyed reading it. She was a character in the book, and she enjoyed having herself in it. Yeah.
Right, I'm sure she did. And so The Secret of the Clocks, and how was it? Names are very important when you write a book.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you come up with the name of The Secret of the Clocks?
Well, the clocks are something introduced at the beginning that throughout the story kind of seem a little bit irrelevant. But at the end, they become like a really huge part in getting back. So I just wanted that to be a part that kind of made it seem mysterious throughout the story.
Yeah, that's right. It was. And I was frightened in some of the things. It made me a little scared about what they were going into and how are they going to get out of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you always figured out how you could wind that away. And that was really very clever of you. There are writers groups, and I don't know if you've attended any of these yet.
No, I haven't.
It would be something for you to think about because then everybody critiques one another.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's unique to have someone your age do something this well done. I mean, this was not casual. I have to share that with you. I wouldn't have put that in Boomer Times. I really hope that, and I'm going to tell everybody, it's called The Secret of the Clocks, and it's Lauren Ferrer, Ferrer. And how can someone get this? Can they go on Amazon and get this?
Yes, it is on Amazon, and I think it's for $7 or $8 on Amazon.
What a steal that is. I think every grandparent or mother should read it themselves, but then they can buy it for their kid. But it is, going back to what you said, time is very hard. I was thinking about Facebook.
Yes.
I can get on Facebook and hours can go by because one thing takes to another, right?
Yes, definitely.
Do you have that problem too?
Yes. Social media, yes.
Social media.
Time flies by.
Yeah, and it's very hard. And so how do you, as someone who really wants to be on time and like it, how do you set an alarm and say, okay, I'm only going to do this for 15 minutes and then I'm gone? How do you do that?
I have set plans and routines that I just stick with and do every day. So it helps keep my mind straight.
Because you can get lost. Now,
yes.
We're going to be putting this on YouTube eventually. So that'll be, and you probably haven't been on YouTube, and now
No.
you will be on YouTube. And so this will be a forever thing. And then, 10 years from now, you'll say, gee, I did this. I was only 14 years old and all. But knowing your parents, they're very enthusiastic about everything they do anyway. Yes. And, of course, knowing, they were just at the expo. You didn't get to come to the expo, but your father was a star. Your mother was always there with trying to sell his books, The Cough Years. Did you read his book?
I read the stories in it about the people.
Right.
Yes.
But I mean, he's a very, very good writer and a very good speaker.
Definitely.
But this is really a fabulous book, and for people who have problems cause cough cures, and I'm going to give him a little bit of publicity. The Complete Guide to the Best Natural Remedies and Over-the-Counter Drugs for Acute and Chronic Coughs. And so it is a spectacular book. So you come with good genes, right?
Yes.
To write with that. So let me just ask you some questions about growing up now in this world. I know you're very positive. How do you handle friends who maybe are getting into trouble a little bit? And are you able to help them, people who are, don't like the world and maybe they could be getting on drugs? Is that something that you take on yourself to help them?
Usually I'll talk to one of my teachers that I'm close with and ask them because they know them and they can help me just know what to say to them so I don't come off as rude or just really just want to make myself go up there. So yeah.
Because that is a problem, isn't it? I mean, you have a wonderful family and
yes,
but a lot of people don't. Mm-hmm. And so I'm sure that's, it's important for them. And also to be a friend. I think a lot of times people have been thinking about doing bad things, but all it takes is someone like you to just put your arm around them and, and try to help them.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's very true.
So do you have a pet?
Yes, I have 2 dogs.
I think I've seen their pictures.
Yes.
So I have my little Charlie here, but I think pets are really good. I don't think you had any dogs in here. Am I wrong?
No, there were not any.
You didn't have a pet in here. Maybe that's your next book, something about pets, right? Because that makes everyone loves pets.
Of course.
You know that. You're also going to be able to have a lot of experiences with those kinds of pets because I think that they help. As a matter of fact, let me ask you about your grandparents. Are they here?
Yes.
They still in Cuba?
No. My grandma is in Cuba now, but she's going to be coming back soon. But they stay with us for a long time, and it's great to have them here.
And have you been in Cuba?
Yes, I've gone twice to visit them and to just spend time with our family up there.
Because, your father's, I'm sure he's told you all the stories.
Yes.
Being born and your mother
in
Cuba. And it was a beautiful story the way they met, too. I mean, you have lots of really good things in your life, don't you?
Yes, I do.
So now let's talk about who Lauren Ferrer is going to be, let's say 10 years from now. You'll be 23. What do you think you will be doing? 24, excuse me. What do you think you'll be doing? You're going to be a lawyer or you're going to be in law school?
Probably still at law school, but probably around that time I want to have my life set out for me. And
of course. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yes. In law school, I want to go into criminal justice and defense and all that. So, yeah, I've always had an interest for those kind of mysteries and the Nancy Drew kind of thing. Yeah.
You mentioned Nancy Drew, so you have an author that you really admire that is kind of your, someone you would like to emulate?
Well, when I was younger, I read the whole Nancy Drew series in one summer and just one after the other. And those were amazing books that I read. And there's stories like A Wrinkle in Time that I loved.
I don't know if that was, I didn't read Nancy Drew. I'm sorry. What was that? A Wrinkle in Time. And that was, what was that to do with time?
Yes. A Wrinkle in Time was a story. It was a much more fantasy story, but it had to do with, time being set as a line. It was just a line that time could be broken or cut off or that you could just travel through world in time. So just with time. So that was something that really interested me and certainly gave a lot of ideas to my book. So
do you like science fiction?
Yes.
Sounds that way. So this wasn't quite science fiction, but in a way it was a little bit, wasn't it? So you're going to do so. I love science fiction. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you ever read Stranger in a Strange Land by Robert Heinlein.
No, I have not.
You ought to get that. It's kind of a story of someone who the mother was either from Mars and the father was from Earth, and it's quite an interesting thing that happened. Yeah, but I love it too. But I've actually never met anyone like you with all my books and my reviews of someone young who's so sophisticated. What do you attribute that to?
My parents, definitely. Just raising me to be polite and having those values.
I have a lot of people who are listening to this right now. It's amazing. Facebook Live, that's really... Do you ever do Facebook Live?
No, I don't have Facebook. I have Instagram.
You don't do Facebook?
No.
Instagram. I don't even know what Instagram is. Would you explain that to me? I mean, I know I've heard of it, but I don't use it.
Instagram is another social media that it's kind of like Facebook. You can share pictures, videos, and it also has the live where you can go live on Instagram. So, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, then you just opened up my eyes to something else. But you've never been on YouTube, I'm sure.
No.
But now you will, right? And you'll be able to put your name in and and then YouTube will pop up all the time. I don't know. On Facebook Live or Facebook, it's hard for me to congregate and separate people and things. It seems like there's just too much on there. But can you do that on Instagram? I mean, if you wanted to go back to something that you've just done, can you find it?
Sometimes. You can kind of like swipe to the right and sometimes it'll be there, but there's a lot of times that if you just like click something, it'll just...
It's gone. Right? It is. So what is your favorite? I mean, let me take you back. You're old enough, actually, before there was like Facebook. What were you doing to communicate with your friends? Just get on the phone? Email?
Well, we would use like our parents' phone and just like text each other through that. But
that's right, they didn't want you to have your own.
Yes,
I know.
But we would spend a lot of time together. So we all like went to the same school 5 days a week. We would do after school stuff. So there was a lot of like spending time with friends.
And now that you can't do that, is this take its place?
Sometimes yes, but not really. We still like spend time with each other. We make plans, do stuff together.
And so do you have a boyfriend?
No, I do not.
Well, that's right. You have plenty of time, but I'm sure you have good friends, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes a big difference. Well, I certainly hope that you stay. You're so pure looking, and you're so the way that you act that you continue this because the world is pretty sophisticated, and you are going to have a great future with all this. And I hope that that when you write more books, that I'm always on your book list because I want to make sure that I get them. And you might want to think about interning. I know you're young yet, 14, but had you ever considered interning at a company or something that maybe publishes books or does something?
Yes. Actually, a few months ago, my dad introduced me to one of his friends who are lawyers, and they said that when I was a little bit older, maybe like in a year or two, that I would be able to intern with them and just learn how they work and how they do their job.
Absolutely. Of course, that's the thing. The nice part about you, and you can appreciate it, when you have parents like you do, life is never perfect, but it's going to be easier because they support and they also know what you need. I have a son that's an attorney, and he's actually in immigration and entertainment law. But you like part of litigation, it sounds like.
Yes.
And you want to get in front of you want to get in front of people and actually convince them, don't you?
Yes.
That's so I'm sure that when you have something in your mind and your parents aren't too sure, you try to convince them. So you practice on them, don't you?
Yes, many, many times.
Oh, that's great. Well, I want to just get back to your book again because I'm going to tell everybody I'm talking with Lauren Ferrer, and it's The Secret of the Clocks. And one of the people who just called in is Linda Sauget, and she writes an article here, and it's very inspirational. It's called Yes, You Can Do It. And she's I know that I'm going to make sure that I pass this book on to her because she's going to love it. She has all these wonderful quotes. If you ever read her article in here, she's very much like you in a way. Everything is positive, and even if something's negative, she makes it into a positive. And I think we can all do that because it's easy to take the wrong road.
Definitely.
Right? But it's a much better outcome to have the good road.
Yeah.
But let's get into the secret of the clock. So what is your most favorite, because I want people to really hear you have such a lovely voice. In this book, what could you read that you thought would really be something that people who don't have time to read the book here on the radio, what do you think that you really were most proud of, that the way you wrote it? And I mean, I have a lot of ideas in there, but some of the things were pretty exciting. So go find something that you can read to. We have more people on Facebook watching.
Yes. There's actually a part where they're in this library, and I'm trying to find it now.
It's okay. You just go ahead and look at it. I know I shot that on you, but I like to have authors read sometimes from their own book. But you can, any place that seems like it's interesting enough to just, you could take one of the chapters or okay, there you go.
Yes, there's a part, it's chapter 13, and it's, are you Father Time? We need to see him. We need his help. As soon as she uttered it, a man emerged from a tall square door they had not noticed when they entered the library. That's me, said the man in a voice that was much calmer than the booming one they had just heard. He was dressed in a long black coat with stunning blue lining and a small hourglass poked out of his right pocket. He wore a tall black hat that almost covered his face, but nothing could cover his large, icy blue eyes. What do you need my help with? He said to them. We've come here all the way from Frumoor to save our world and yours. Roman has taken the 5 clock keepers and 2 of our friends captive. If we don't find the clock keepers and their clocks on time, the world will be doomed and Roman will have complete control. And without your help, I'm afraid we won't be able to finish on time. Cameron explained desperately. I've been watching you all through your mirrors since the day they brought them to hang on the poles, Father Time said. Every day as you were growing up, I would watch how you would handle time and the challenges I would throw at you. Sometimes I would make the time pass by quickly or make it drag on until everything you did seemed never ending. I observed your reactions. There are rumors all around my city that you were the ones to save us, and you could do so with my help. I didn't think it was true until I watched you two, Cameron and Jackson, stumble onto the snow globe. Then came the day you girls found it, exactly where I had my men return it. I knew I needed to help you. I'm on your side. I've never been against you. Father Time nodded gravely and shook each of their hands.
Wow, yay. That was so well done. So I'm beginning to think you may have to change your mind about being a lawyer. You may want to be an actress.
Yeah.
Because you do. You are very articulate.
Thank you.
And you have a nice voice. And so I think the world's going to be your oyster. You're going to be able to figure out what you really want to do. So that's really special. Well, do you have any questions to ask me?
I don't think so.
Okay,
no.
I hope you enjoyed this.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I'm glad that you were able to come. I know you came all the way from Weston, and that's great. And I know your parents are, of course, sitting here in the studio, and it's hard for them to be quiet because they love you so much and they have so much to say, but they were very well behaved. And we let them come in here, but we didn't let them talk. And I want to thank you very much, Lauren, for being here with us.
Thank you.
Okay.